Hello and welcome to this midweek reflection for the week of June the 21st. I'm going to light the candle as we begin to remind us once again of the presence of the Christ, the one we sometimes call the Beloved. This presence that reminds us of light that shines in the Christ and how that light shines within each and every one of us and calls us beloved as well. This week, during our Sunday reflection, we pondered the topic of brokenness and how we can find beauty even in our brokenness. And in fact, how being able to find beauty in brokenness, in our brokenness, in the brokenness of the world, the brokenness of others, being able to see that and find that is one of the ways that we become spiritually resilient. After our service on Sunday, we had a conversation during our Zoom coffee hour about where we have seen beauty in brokenness. And one person talked about shared tears, that beauty can often be experienced when brokenness is shared between two people or between groups of people. I found myself thinking as we approach this midweek point about the story of Jesus and the bent over woman in the temple that I'm going to share with us today. And the way that, to me, it speaks of that shared tear, of the way that when our brokenness is seen by other people, that there is something about that being seen that is a beautiful thing and that can bring us healing in our broken places. And so before we turn to this story, I want to invite you, as we've been doing in these weeks, to take a moment to check in with yourself, to ask yourself how you come, to declare your state. How is it with your soul as you come to this time today? And then is there a grace that you are seeking? The grace of wholeness, the grace of healing, the grace of knowing you are loved in your brokenness, or perhaps the grace of simply being open to hearing what it is that God, the divine, that the sacred word is wanting to say to you today. And this is one of those stories that you can actually imagine yourself being present to. So I'm going to read the story, and rather than listen for a word or a phrase in the story, you might want to close your eyes and just imagine that you are present in this story. And you could do that by hearing the story itself and then pausing the video and just going back in your imagination and imagining you are there. Perhaps you're watching this scene unfold. Perhaps you know yourself to be like the bent over, the crippled woman in this story. Here's a story of Jesus, about Jesus. And I'm reading from the 13th chapter of Luke's Gospel, verse 10. Now he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And just then there appeared a woman with a spirit that had crippled her for 18 years. She was bent over and was quite unable to stand up straight. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said, "Woman, You are set free from your ailment." And when he laid his hands on her, immediately she stood up straight and began praising God. One of the interesting things about this story is that it's actually set in the midst of a broken system. So immediately following this event in the synagogue, the temple leaders come over and are quite upset with Jesus for healing on the Sabbath, for breaking the rules. There really is something quite beautiful about one individual reaching out to another individual, even in the midst of a broken system. And maybe that's the way that broken systems become healed, one at a time, until there is enough of energy and enough movement to actually break the whole system apart. So there can be beauty in the midst of a broken system, even when the system is still broken, when people reach out to one another, when they see each other in their brokenness. Who do you see around you that is broken? Who do you see around you that is in need of healing? Are there places in your own life that are broken? Are you bent over with a heavy burden? Are you in need of someone who would look at you and see you for who you are and see the broken places within you? Who is it that has seen you in your brokenness? Who is it that has reached out to you in your brokenness? And where have you seen beauty in brokenness? We were able to come up with a whole variety of responses to that last question on Sunday. And I hope that as you ponder that question and the other questions, that you will find healing in your inward being, and that you will be empowered and enabled to see and to reach out to others who are also in need of healing. I'm going to close our time together today with song, as we have been doing these last several weeks. This is Hold Us in Your Grace. Hold us in your grace, O God. Hold us in your grace. Hold us in your grace, O God. Hold us in your grace. Hold us in your grace. Hold us in your grace. Hold us in your grace, O God. Hold us in your grace. Hold us in your grace, O God. Hold us in your grace. Hold us in your grace. Hold us in your grace. Just before I finish, I want to say that this is the last midweek reflection I will be doing for some time. I'm about to take some summer vacation and study leave. I will be back at the church in mid-August, and I hope to connect with you then one way or another. And so may these summer days be rich with blessing for you. May you know in your heart's deep trust in the one who has created us and in the one who does hold our lives with tenderness, with beauty, and with care. Go in the grace and in the peace of Christ, and may you know fullness of days. Amen.